the Carnegie Asia program. He's also the former country director for China at the World Bank, and he joins me now. Yukon, welcome to the program. Great to have you. So let's just go over a few things. China's economy right now, it's slowed. Property values are down. Youth unemployment very high. What's going on?
Well, if you look at the month-to-month indicators, the economy is stagnating, in some cases declining. It cannot rely upon the old growth forces of the past, property market, infrastructure, exports. It hasn't been able to develop new sources of growth. Consumption has not picked up as rapidly as one would expect. So many analysts are saying that the Chinese economy is likely to actually decline in growth next year compared to this year. This year's numbers are likely to be high because last year's base was so low. So it exaggerates, in fact, the performance.
In terms of youth unemployment, walk me through what's happening there. And also, this issue of youth unemployment, does this then create a bit of a confidence issue for Chinese leadership?
This is a big issue because unrest among the graduates is a major, possibly politically destabilizing factor. You have a combination of rapid increases in college graduates and a slowdown in what I would call the service sectors, which tends to do much of the hiring. In particular, for example, the internet digital areas, where the government has actually been quite restrictive over the last 5 or 6 months. So job growth has not been as rapid as one would hope for.
Help me understand, if you are a multinational with a presence in China, how nervous are you feeling these days about policies around data, intellectual property, national security?
Well, intellectual property restrictions, honoring of foreign interest in terms of the capital knowledge has always been a concern. I don't think that the problem has gotten any worse, but sensitivity has actually increased. So you have these U.S.-China tensions, and firms are being told to leave China, and many of them are. China, its own part, is becoming what I call more self-sufficient. Its increase since, for example, in high-tech exports has actually increased steadily over the last 4 or 5 years. But foreign companies' share of those exports has been declining. So in some ways, China has reacted to the restrictions by becoming more self-sufficient. So China's shares, for example, of global exports have soared at the same time that foreign companies are leaving China. So there's a question as to whether or not you have what I call decoupling, and how negative an impact is this on the world, and how negative is the impact upon China.
I take your point that the policies aren't necessarily new. Maybe the sensitivity seems to be heightened, but does enforcement seem to be a bit more heightened as well these days?
Well, in terms of the general policy toward protection of intellectual property, China set up courts over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years in the major cities. So now you find what I call better enforcement, but nevertheless, the ad hoc enforcement of intellectual property rights, the clampdown on foreign companies, particularly consulting firms over the last several months, is basically heightened tensions, making foreign companies potentially a target as part of what I call more political activism, rather than what I call commercial dealings normally.
You know, one thing that got a lot of attention, rightfully so, was Secretary Blinken's trip to China and the meeting with his counterpart, but also Xi Jinping, because of how sour relations had turned. Less attention, however, was paid to the amount of American CEOs and business leaders who have recently been to China. Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jamie Dimon. I mean, if you are a business leader, I mean, clearly you see the value in the market there, but it is a bit of a tightrope.
It is a tightrope because businesses don't have the same political clout that they had 10 years ago. And that's probably, I think, part of the change in the U.S. position toward China. Major financial firms, internet firms, digital giants, 10 years ago, they were very much interested in increasing their exposure in China. And in some ways, Washington was supportive of that. But that's completely changed. Washington today is much more concerned about technology transfer. It's much more concerned about security. It's less concerned about the business prospects of Wall Street or Silicon Valley. And I think this is part of the reasons why relations have actually become much worse.
Yukon, I hear you say that China has become more self-sufficient. Do you find that it's still putting a lot of emphasis on being hospitable to foreign companies?
It has increased its messages in terms of welcoming foreign companies. But at the same time, there are many ad hoc actions which are taken negatively by the business community. So China is welcoming more foreign investment, but also at the same time trying to become more independent. After all, its access to high-tech product lines in the United States have been severely curbed. Therefore, it's trying to develop these lines by itself. This is a very expensive undertaking and quite risky, in fact, for China.
Certainly fascinating to watch and great to have your insight. Yukon Huang.